As an actor, I played various hard men, but now I was in search of the real thing. I was on a mission to meet one of the most violent gangs in the world, Rio's notorious street gangs, but nothing had prepared me for how frightening that mission would be. I knew about Rio's stunning setting, its world-famous carnival, its reputation as a playground for the rich. What I hadn't expected was to be told by my driver E01, 2 minutes from the airport, that I was now in the middle of a war zone where rival gangs fight it out for power.
Two gangs shoot at each other across the road. Depending on the time, usually at night, the road will be closed because of the gunfire. This is where it begins. We call it the Gaza Strip.
Why would someone suddenly start to shoot somebody across the road?
Disputes over drug trafficking.
What will they use? AK-47? AK? Machine gun?
AK-47s, machine guns, pistols.
Everything.
And then the police close the road and no one is allowed to pass.
Hello. You can stop us now. There you go.
Shit, I mean, he's got an M16 short. That's what I use on my TV show. It's quite shocking to know that, and from sort of the outlook from it, it looks very impoverished, but you'd never know that we're actually in a sort of war zone at the moment. And the only dividing line between one or the other is a concrete dual carriageway.
I've been told that it's a war that's been going on for some 30 years, and that it was getting worse. Last year, over 1,000 young men were killed on the streets of Rio in shootouts between the police and rival gangs. It's a war over drugs. Brazil's cocaine market is the second largest in the world. I've been told that groups of gun-toting young men working for a gang boss protect their share of that market from their bases in the city's shantytowns, or favelas. To see what the police were up against, I flew over Rocinha, one of the city's most notorious favelas, with the head of Rio's drug squad, Rodrigo Oliveira.
Is Rocinha controlled by one of the commands?
Yeah, one of the commanders, the red command.
CV?
Yeah, CV, commander.
That's a CV?
Yeah.
It's massive. I mean, it's absolutely vast, isn't it? Yeah. Is that the biggest favela in Rio?
The biggest favela in the South America.
South America?
South America, yeah.
Dangerous, very dangerous.
Yeah, very dangerous.
He told me that 150,000 people live in Rocinha alone. It's just one of the 800 favelas in Rio. They house 1 in 5 of the city's population. You do take shots from the favelas at the helicopters?
It's our job. We have to do it. Sometimes wrong things happen.
Yeah. I mean, innocent people get caught in the crossfire between the police.
Yeah, between the police and these gangsters, these drug dealers. We have a target. Our target is always the drug dealers, but they don't have targets. They shoot everywhere.
Do you ever think that you're in a war sometimes?
Sometimes I think so.
It was hard to believe that all this was going on in the heart of one of the world's great cities. Here I am on the roof of my very nice hotel in Copacabana. It just goes to show how close the favelas come to the very nice parts of Rio de Janeiro. Over there is Pavão and Cantagalo, two very hardcore favelas. And if you come over here with me, the other side of the hotel, there is Tabajara and Santa Marta.
To understand the roots of this war, I went to Borel, one of Rio's most established favelas. Like all favelas, Borel started as an illegal settlement populated by Brazilians escaping poverty in other parts of the country.
Also, just travelling through it on these bikes, you can just see how large Borel is. It's absolutely massive. Sprawls from possibly, sea level all the way up to maybe 900 metres. And there are houses all the way through it.
I soon discovered it's a city within a city, living to its own rhythm and rules. And the rules in Borel are often set by one of the gangs affiliated to Rio's largest and most powerful drug trafficking network, the Comando Vermelho, known as CV, the Red Command. My guide to this world was a local celebrity, musician, singer, and ex-gang member MC Catra.
The favela is like a body. It feels, it laughs, it cries, it gets scared, it becomes tense. Every person who lives here is a cell of that body. There are good cells which help us grow strong. And there are bad cells like tumors that have to be cut out. We have to look after ourselves because we are suffering from discrimination, from neglect by our government. We have to protect ourselves with our own rules, based on our own conscience.
When we came in, we had to go past a guy who had a gun. He had a gun in his shoulder, and he had a radio, and he checked it out, and you knew that we were coming, and it was cleared. You protect yourself here. Who do you protect yourself from? Who are you protecting yourself from?
It's like this. We are protecting ourselves from the system. The favela protects itself. The ordinary person, as well as the drug trafficker, needs protection. Society attacks us and segregates us. We are in a civil war.
He described to me a recent confrontation between two young gang members and the police.
Two boys went into the trafficker and goes to...
Trafficking the drugs, yeah?
And goes to their house.
The green one? The water box on top of the roof? And they're surrounded by the police in their house? Yeah.
The police operation was captured on camera. It was like something out of the Wild West.
How many people died?
Dois.
Did the policeman die?
Morreu polícia?
One.
One policeman.
I wanted to find out how the drug dealing operation worked, but it was a risky business. To get close to the dealing, we had to use our van to go undercover. This is the place where seller meets buyer. It's called the Boca de Fumo.
What you've got now is a bunch of clients at the Boca, which literally means the mouth. And drugs are passed over from the bag, and there are more drugs behind the guys if you can see them sitting on top of the wall. And they're passing over money for drugs. You see it just went on there? Being here is quite dangerous because
bockers are continuously being taken by a rival gang from another gang. And also the police bust these areas and bust the drug sellers. So hence the reason we're doing this inside the van rather than doing it out in the open. So apologise for the bad lighting. It's obviously very openly done, as people looking at their bags are comparing what one got and what the other one got. As you can see, it's a popular time of day to be doing what they do. And it's just been going on now for at least, 20 minutes, non-stop.
There are as many as 10,000 people working in the drug gangs. I wanted to talk to some of them. They agreed on condition that we didn't reveal their identity.
We're just waiting for the guys to mask up and prepare for us to come in. You know, it's very late, we're in the favela, we're on our own, we're quite exposed at the moment. I mean, there's kids running around still and it looks quite nice, but there's a big undercurrent here of, well, it feels dangerous. What's the score, mate?
My contacts took me to a safe house for CV soldados, literally foot soldiers, the kids who do the dirty work.
Don't put that on me, it scared me. You show us what you got, guys. Is there coca? Cocaine? Can I touch it? There's bags there full of cocaine. How many must there be? I don't know. 60 or 50? That's how the gear comes, and that's how it's sold. How much would that cost? 10. Just 10.
That's £2.
So that's, I don't think that's the same price. Not, I'm an expert, I think that's the same price in London. You got some guns, are you carrying guns? You carrying guns? Can you show? Boom, 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 boom. Is it low? And it's, can I touch? Yep, that's a real bullet. 9mm. 9mm. Yep, here's you. It's a big magazine, and they are 9mm bullets. As you can see, they're not amateurs touching these weapons. I know what they're doing with them. Do you have to carry those guns all the time when you're doing the job that you do?
Of course. Every time the police come in, we have to be ready to shoot back. We must defend the favela.
You wear masks because the police could look at this footage and come and find you and kill you. Is that not true?
Yes, the police will recognize us, come after us, and then kill us.
You give a signal to each other that says Commander Vermelha. Could you show us how you do that?
It's the sign of our gang.
And you see everywhere around here, CV. And they do that as recognition.
I went to see MC Catra perform at Rio's latest music phenomenon, a baile funk, a night out dancing to the street music of the favelas.
Baile funk!
Anthems about sex, drugs, guns, and gangs. The symbols of gangland had even infiltrated the dance floor. Catra wanted to show me one last place in Burrell, but by now, the atmosphere had changed. Everyone was tense.
This is an observation point, so this is where they can shoot the police from if they come into the favela. As you can see, it's a CV. There's a FAL, it's a Belgian SLR, and a G3.
We soon discovered why everyone was edgy.
We have to be very quick. An incident's just happened. Catra, what's happening in the other favela over there?
Now we have an incursion, policy incursion. The policemen go out the other ghetto to make an operation. Okay, and then the shooting and the drug dealers shooting. We don't make this here. Ain't nobody comes out for buying this. It's not our reality.
Let's go, boys. Let's go far. Let's go far. We're just about to go up and walk through the Boca, and they won't let us film there. And this is a new favela. We've never been here before. Must be 15 heavily armed kids there. We're going to try and go through into the favela, and we'll see what happens.
This is the turf of CV's great rivals, Tercero Commando, or Third Command. I'd come here to find out more about gang-on-gang violence. Third Command split off from the CV in a power struggle in the 80s, and they have been deadly enemies ever since.
Can you tell me why you're carrying guns?
We are defending our community against our enemies. The other gangs like ADA or Comando Vermelho. We are the security for our favela. Know what I'm saying?
We have to stop other gangs from taking over the Boca de Fumo and protect those who live in the favela.
Why do you guys dislike the other commands? Why did you dislike CV?
Comando Vermelho are real cowards. Know what I'm saying? And they kill whoever gets in the way.
If the police are coming into the favela, how do you know?
We've got a radio and we set off fireworks. If they shoot, one of us fires back.
He's got his hand on the fucking trigger. No, got a fucking clue. He's pissing himself. He's got a fucking automatic weapon in his hand. That could kill everybody here with one hand on the trigger. If anybody in your organisation informs the police, what happens to them?
They die. They die a horrible death. We hold their head and cut it off. We cut their arms off and legs off.
We pour petrol on them and set light to them.
The grass deserves to die.
More dead. What attracted you to go into the factions in the first place, into faction?
I have 3 kids and I need to look after them. I've done everything to look for a job and I can't get one. It's a risky business, but it allows me to look after my kids. We are Third Command. If anybody tries to mess with us, we'll have them.
What I'd seen so far seemed pretty extreme to me. But the longer I stayed in Rio, the more I realized that for many people here, gang violence was an everyday occurrence.
And pick up the papers here. There's a picture on the front about a girl who's been shot. There's another picture about a guy. His favela has been taken over by Amigos dos Amigos, an opposing gang, and so he's decided to basically become a tout to the police and tell them about everybody that lives in the favela and what they do. There's also another shootout. I mean, there's a shootout here with the police, the civil police in a favela, and that doesn't even make page 12. It's on page 18. We're up the top of Sugarloaf Mountain with all the tourists. It's all very nice, very lovely. If you go up into the favelas, it's a totally different story.
The The origins of Rio's gang stretch back to the early 1970s, when Brazil's military junta imprisoned its left-wing opponents in the same jails as Rio's criminals. Out of the mix emerged a sort of Robin Hood criminal organisation, driven to right society's wrongs. The media nicknamed them the Red Command. One of the original founders was William Lima da Silva, nicknamed the Professor. Despite having twice escaped, he is still in prison serving out the last few months of a 36-year sentence for armed robbery. This is the first ever TV interview he has given.
Can you tell me how the Commando Vermelho started?
What happened was that the suffering of 93 men isolated in the prison at E01 and the suffering of our families created a strong bond between us. It wasn't about an organization being formed. It was born, and what is born doesn't die. It was about friendship and mutual support. If one of us fell, the others would pick him up. When I escaped from prison with some other men in 1980, we took that philosophy of self-help onto the streets. That's where the myth of an organized gang was born.
You're known as a hero in the favelas. We've seen young men carrying guns. Do they represent what your struggle was for?
If you provoke an animal, if he is not given food, and he knows he will die of hunger, he will find a way to jump on you. But if you recognize he is hungry and you can help out, it's logical he won't jump on you.
I'd read that Brazil was one of the most unequal societies in the world, where 10% of the population owns 80% of the country's wealth. "50 million Brazilians were officially living in poverty.
You just point them out to me. Where's the favela down there?
Vera Malaguchi is a Brazilian criminologist who has studied how inequality has contributed to Rio's gang wars.
Santa Teresa is surrounded by favelas. A city like Rio, where you have incredible rich people and very poor people and no public schools, no good welfare system, of course this will produce conflict. You know how many kids are killed by the police in Rio de Janeiro? 1,200. Young, black, poor kids are killed by the police by year in Rio de Janeiro. We have days here when we have more people killed than in Iraq.
I wanted to find out what it was like for those fighting on the other side of this war. The police at the front line of any confrontation with the drug gangs are Brazil's Special Operations Police, the equivalent of US SWAT teams, a rapid reaction police force.
That's a sniper weapon. The two snipers have got the longer barrels. The guy's got a shorter version. It's an M16, but I think it's called an M4. So he's the guy that slips out of the helicopter. I'm really impressed with the way they operate. I mean, they've only got a very small
civilian helicopter, all intents and purposes. The pilot, I think, is very, very good.
This unit is trained to extract drug dealers rather than go in with all guns blazing.
The top two businesses in the world and in the underworld are weapons and drugs. And that's what is causing the problems we have. And because the police is an instrument of social control, we have to tackle this problem head on. If you have the forces of law and order confronting criminals, there is bound to be a clash.
If you were a kid who's taking drugs and you suddenly saw that lot coming over the hill, you'd be quite freaked out.
Rio's police force is struggling with one of the highest rates of gun crime in the world. To see what they are up against, I stopped off at their massive store of confiscated weapons, most of them taken in operations against the drug gangs in the favelas.
Come in here, guys. But we've got around here enough stuff to start a small modern war.
CV1.
CV1, so that's Comanda Vermelha 1. Right? Oh, it's okay? Again, I mean, you know, these, I mean, they look, oh, but these are relatively modern weapons. I mean, these weapons are still being used at the moment. I mean, these are automatic. If you come around the corner and have a look at this, I mean, these are weapons that fire lots of rounds very quickly, and they're designed for one thing, and that's killing other human beings. Can I touch it? Yes. Let's say a rocket launcher. Yeah, CV.
Comando vermelho.
You can see it. It's got a CV on it. Did you know where you found these?
Nas favelas. Nas favelas, nas comunidades carentes com os traficantes, narcotraficantes.
How do they get their hands on these weapons?
Contrabando. Via Colômbia, via Paraguai.
Yeah, they come in from other parts of South America.
Ou por barco.
From ships. There are thousands upon thousands of weapons here. And they're not... I mean, they're covered in dust, a lot of them. If you walk through here, I mean, you keep finding just bizarre weapons, you know, which really should be in a cowboy movie. However, you know, going to kill people with it. And here, look, there's just shotguns, Remington pumps. Boom, you know, sawn off. It's just incredible. I've never seen so many guns in my life. Do you feel that the people that you're up against in the favelas are better armed than you are?
A vantagem deles é conhecer o
Their advantage is they know the terrain. They are born there and they grow up there.
comunidades nos morros. O Rio de Janeiro.
The topography of Rio is difficult for us. Rio is either mountain or sea, and the mountain is very close to the sea. So our problem is that we have to fight uphill.
Normalmente é para cima.
This is an AK-47, but it's been played with because there's a new stock being put on it, and there's a new handle being put on it. Fully operational. Yep. Automatic safety.
E normalmente tem os olheiros que nos observam.
Normally they have lookouts who can see us coming. So straight away we are at a disadvantage.
O confronto inicial é sempre muito difícil.
Frightening. So this is walking stick. However, change. Oh, that's a cocking weapon, and you pull off. Eh? Ah. And it's a shotgun, huh? 12, 12.
One shot.
One shot. And it just goes on and on. If we're going up the ladders now, I mean, they're just piled. If you come...
Ruger, AR, FM Argentina, Ruger, AR, FAL, tudo para destruição.
You just go up. If you just just goes on. It's like a library. It's like going to the British Library of handguns. When we've been to the favelas, we've talked to a lot of the kids there, and they're not very pro-police, obviously, and they say that they get their guns back off the police force. How would you answer that question?
Existe ou outro mau policial que desviam a munição.
It's true that there are one or two corrupt policemen who sell guns to gangs, but it's a small minority. Mostly they ambush policemen and steal their guns.
Então, nós tivemos 5 casos aqui.
Out of the last 5 ambushes, only once did the policemen survive.
5 casos, só uma única vez os policiais sobreviveram.
If a gang member is caught, this is where he ends up. Brazil's prison population has doubled in the past decade to 250,000. To cope, I'd heard that thousands of convicted gang members had been banged up for months in appalling conditions in short-term holding cells. It's a sensitive subject for Rio's authorities. To see for myself, I accompanied an evangelical mission on their weekly prison visit.
Stuck into the bars, and I naively thought that might be their water. No, that's where they go to the toilet.
The plastic bags are where the prisoners defecated. I'd never seen such appalling conditions in a prison, but here it was made worse by warring gang factions.
Não tem como ficar 3 facções aqui. Pode ter até derrame de sangue aqui a qualquer momento.
Lads out there are being moved beyond belief, but you can understand that anything would move you if you were stuck and locked up in here, probably 24/7 by the looks of things.
Pastor Marcos made his weekly plea for prisoners to turn away from the gangs.
Não tem essa aqui, comando vermelho de polícia. O que tu tem que ser mesmo é lavado e remido no sangue de Jesus. Levanta a mãe da glória.
Stop them
Vamos receber minha filha com as palmas.
Pastor Marcus's mission climaxed with a mass exorcism. He believed that he could convert gang members by driving out evil.
Tá amarrado, tá amarrado, tá amarrado. Fica quieto, em nome de Jesus. Fica quieto, fica quieto. Vai, tchau. Agora, Gabriel, amarra ele, tá amarrado. Vai sair, capeta. Vai sair, capeta. Em nome dos pais. Eles sai. A última legião vai embora. Até o Espírito está sufocando ele nos pais. Amém. Levanta. Olha pra mim. Vem cá. Em nome dos pais. Bota ele em pé. Vem cá, rapaz. Vem cá na minha frente. Vem cá, rapaz. Vem perto de mim. Olha só o mistério, irmão. Presta atenção. Tem um espírito querendo matar ele. Quando eu soprar, ele vai cair e vai ficar liberto. E em nome dos pais. Acabou. Em nome dos pais. Acabou. Bate palma todo mundo. A última legião dos pais. Vem cá.
3 hours in the prison had been a shocking experience, but my understanding of Rio's gangs was about to be shaken even further when I discovered that the police's role in gangland violence was even more disturbing than it seemed. Some 6,000 teenagers work in Rio's drug gangs. I'd read a terrifying statistic. 80% of them will die before they reach 21.
How old are you?
15.
So you joined the gang while you were at school? Do you see your future staying in the gangs? Is that what you want to do?
No, but I don't have another choice.
Can I ask you what kind of gun you use? Which is your favourite one?
Pistol, machine gun, whatever gun we can get hold of, we'll shoot with.
If the order came down saying that you had to shoot somebody and kill them, would you carry out that order?
We must, or we die.
Have you ever been hit by a bullet?
Yeah. On the leg.
How long ago did you get shot?
Friday.
Do you know who shot at you?
The police.
You managed to get away then, huh?
Yes.
This gang member wasn't so lucky. His arrest was caught on camera. The police action on that occasion went beyond any normal understanding of justice. In a favela on the outskirts of Rio, I discovered just how murky the police's role in gangland violence had become. A few months before my arrival, there had been a shootout here and several locals were injured.
Here. See a key? A key? Right, forward to key. Came through there and exited out there. And also, and you can see his bullet's gone straight across his nose there. Would you mind showing us where you got shot?
Vania told me the story of what happened.
I was arriving home with my daughter when a rival gang, backed up by police, invaded our favela. And there was a shootout and everyone tried to run. I hid behind a door with my daughter and got hit in the back. I didn't know who was a bandit and who was police. All I knew was that there was some sort of collusion between them.
I wanted to find out more about the role of what appeared to be groups of rogue police officers.
Careful.
A trail of late-night meetings with secretive contacts led me to a house hidden deep within one of the favelas.
It's taken some time to set up, but it looks like we're finally going to meet one of the head guys of the CV, and we've been to various locations in order to get to where we are now, and now we are waiting.
And then suddenly, they arrived. And I came eye to eye with one of the bosses responsible for the security, drug dealing and revenge killings of a CV-controlled district.
You have the enemies of the cops, and you have other enemies. Are the other enemies other factions?
They are all enemies. The police, other gangs like Terceiro Comando and Amigos dos Amigos. Know what I mean? The police are corrupt and rotten. This is war. The gangs are mixed up with the police. Here in Rio, it's like this. If you have money, you can get close to the police. With money, you can buy them off. If not, they will kill you because they don't want the hassle of taking you to prison. Either you give them money, or they kidnap and kill you.
Have you ever been kidnapped? By the police? What happened?
They came to my house. They took me from my family. I had no drugs or weapons with me. Yet they said either you give us money or we will kill you. Sometimes the police ask for £10,000, and if Terceiro Comando or Amigos dos Amigos offer 20,000, they will deliver our heads to them on a plate and take the money. We die at the hands of cowards, cut into pieces. I sleep with this gun. It's like my arm. It protects me. First God, then my gun.
One of the accusations that the gangs make against the police is that they act like a gang themselves, and that some members of the police kidnap the higher-ranking members, the drug dealers, and hold them for ransom. Is there any truth in that?
Sometimes I think it's really correct. There are some police officers that are not doing their job as they have to do, and sometimes they do this kind of things. But our internal affairs are always working. There are some police officers who are under arrest. They are always dismissed by the police. They are not police anymore.
Do you want to say anything else?
Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. Just sort of lost for words. Just talked to the guy that runs the drug enforcement agency here, and I said, you know, the gangs accuse you of kidnapping drug lords and holding them for ransom, and he said, yeah, it happens. He said it's not something that I'm in charge of happening, but there are bad policemen out there, and they do it. When we go to the favelas, we've spoken to kids from CV, Third Command. They all say that the police are just another gang.
Yes, it is true. As a social consequence on our drug policies, on the war on drugs, that makes the policeman, a young policeman that comes from the same neighborhood, is thrown into killing, slaughtering, and if he's ordered to kill, kidnapping is less than killing, or bribery is less than that. So I think that I think the police is also a victim of that drug policy.
I was on my way home and still struggling to get my head around the prison of my imagination and the reality of some of the places I'd visited.
So, Ross, what have you learned about the gangs and the gang war here in Rio de Janeiro?
What do I think? I think I've only just scratched the surface of what happens here. Seem to be very, very young, very, very vulnerable. And the sad thing is, these kids are getting killed virtually every day.
There are only 4 of us left, me and 3 others. This is a new generation here. From the guys who grew up with me, more than 20 have died. I even lost my own brother, my own blood. I lost friends. Our life is one long, terrible struggle. That's why we are ready to take revenge on the police who kill us. When we catch them, we will kill them without pity.
Quando nós pega, nós mata, sem piedade.
When I was their age, I was running around the street, you know, with sticks and throwing stones at other kids, or swinging in trees. These kids are running around with automatic weapons.
It is sad. All of us here, we want a peaceful life, to be able to go for a walk with our families.
Até logo. É prazer. Boa viagem. É prazer. Ok. Obrigado.
Nós estamos do lado certo da.
We know we do bad things, but for good reasons.
Eu disse samba, 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 samba.
Next on Sky One, will he end his days in custody?
My dad never led the life of Riley.
Ronnie Biggs' last escape. And tomorrow at 9, the fans who go the extra mile.
You can tell this is for Michael. My mother's giving me something that no one can take away from me, you know?
It's Camp Michael Jackson.